ready? Go ahead and call the meeting to order. Has everybody had a chance to read the minutes? Is there any additions, corrections? If not, motion to approve. Moved by David, second by Larry. All in favor? Motion passed. Consent agenda. Need permission for clerk to pay insurance at time of billing, permission for clerk to pay utilities at time of billing, permission for clerk to pay utility incentives before the 25th of the month, permission for clerk to pay theater bills when due, and permission for clerk to pay payment service network bills when due.
So moved.
Moved by Larry. Second by Gail. All in favor? Cody, you're up.
Well, I don't have a sheriff report this week. I will get one to you. I can tell you in January you're going to see kind of a decrease in numbers. You don't want to say the Q word. It's been that way for the last 30, 40 days. It's one of the lowest jail censuses we've had in a long time. We only have two in jail in Zion County right now, so that's pretty low for normal. And I think everything else across the board is pretty much reflected like that. It's been kind of a quiet month. January was a quiet month, so I'm just waiting for it to change. So, pretty much it. As I said, we got some positions moved around, so we were short 3. I think last time I talked to you guys, we were only short 1 position now. We're advertising to hire 4. Everybody on the sheriff's office who wanted to participate in the COVID vaccination has been completely vaccinated with both shots. So everybody that wanted to do that is done. That's behind us, and we'll see how well the vaccine works. Obviously, it doesn't make you impervious, but it can help recovery times. That way, we're healthy that way and ready to move forward.
Do you want to email the stats to me, and I'll just send them out?
I can do that.
You got new office help.
Got new office help. So, got new office help, and she's still in training. It takes a while to train for that position. And for that, got a lot of classes with stuff I have to take over all kinds of stuff, which I'm sure you guys are used to. State government, same thing. So have to learn how to use this, be certified to use that program, blah blah blah. So moving forward.
What's her name?
Cassie.
Cassie.
She was a dispatcher, decided to take that.
Any questions for Cody? Nope. If not, is there a motion to accept it? Moved by Gail, second by Derek. All in favor? All right.
Huh? No, I don't think so.
You did? Yep.
Thanks, appreciate it.
All right, Miller Associates. So
Amanda, before you call in, there are 4 copies of the notice of whatever it's called there. They needed notice of award. They needed 4 original signatures, so when you get ready to sign. And when you sign your name, you'll want to write Mayor Pro Tem off to the right.
okay. Do we need?
Probably. Let me
You want one for you or?
Hello.
Tyler?
Yes, it's Tyler.
Hey, it's the City of St. Francis. We got you on speakerphone. Good, how are you?
Cold.
Yeah, agreed, agreed.
Well, I appreciate you guys letting me call in tonight. It's a lot easier. So, hopefully you have in your council packet a recommendation letter, and then it should have a plan holders list, and then a bid tab. We have one bidder, McCormick. They were underneath my estimate, which is good. I don't have any issue. I've worked with McCormick in the past, and I know you guys are familiar with them also with stuff in town, so I don't have any issue with awarding to them. The only issue we have is we only have one bidder, so Justine with CDG is still waiting for the state to approve it, which I don't see why they want it. We have proof that we have plenty of plan holders and we advertise, so they shouldn't have any issue with the unit. I spoke with Justine today, and she had not heard back yet. She was going to email them to see when they can get a response to the contracts going. But tonight we can go ahead, and with your guys' approval, we can award them McCormick just contingent upon CDBG approval. I don't know if anybody has any questions, or if JR had anything else to add, but
I do not, no.
Okay.
So you're happy with it, JR?
Absolutely. That's what we normally work with on our regular work, so I'm glad to have them bid.
So we'll just need a,
I believe they told me they have somebody, I can't remember the name of the company, but there's some company down by Hutchinson, I think, is going to do their concrete work too, so.
so we'll just need a motion then and a second to approve.
Yes, to approve the bid. Or then, Tyler, do they need to approve the notice of award?
Yeah, if you want to approve to award the bid, just contingent upon CDBG approval to McCormick for that total bid price that I had listed there.
So is there a motion to approve or award the bid to McCormick for $1,167,271.32 contingent upon CDBG approval?
So,
Moved by Cale, second by David, all in favor? Okay, motion passed.
I think you want to vote on it.
Do we need to vote?
It can't hurt.
Okay, David,
yes.
Cale, Sarah? Yes. Larry?
Yes.
All right. Everybody approves.
Okay, so once I hear back from Justine, I'll let you guys know. Then we can get contract signed, and then as we get closer to the spring, I'll have a pre-construction meeting where I meet with the contractor and JR on site and all the utilities and kind of go over schedules and the game plan. So that's kind of next step.
Perfect. Any other questions?
That's all yes.
Anything else, Tyler?
Nope, that's all I had.
All right, well, we'll let you go then.
All right.
All right,
Thank
have a
you,
good
guys.
evening. Thanks.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Up top.
Yeah. All right. Junior class peddler's license.
It's out there on the share. They're not doing the magazine sales this year. You guys probably heard, but they want to sell some water bottles and things like that and Krispy Kreme donuts.
I vote yes.
So, in the motion, we just need to waive the fees and the background checks.
David moves.
Second.
Second by Cale. All in favor? All right, motion passed. KMEA Board of Directors.
So that's something that we do. We have to have, per the bylaws for KMEA, we have 2 directors and an alternate. Currently, the director 1 is Scott, and his term expires in April of this year. Director 2 is JR. His term doesn't expire until next year, and the alternate is Cale, and his term expires this year. So we need the council to decide who to appoint as Director 1 and alternate. Can be the same people, and these are 2-year terms. And they're basically, I don't know, JR, what do you do on the board of the KMEA?
Well, actually, with KMEA, they tell you how to vote, but that's besides the point. it's just for their next actions. Supposedly they look out for our best interest for our power contracts and that sort of thing, which they don't. Sorry. Now that they sell power, they're in it for their own benefit. But as far as being on the board, every city who contributes to them has, board members and is able to vote on their at their annual meeting. So, I guess I should say we do still retain a small amount of value given the fact that a lot of the power comes through KMEA. It used to be 60% of our power, and now it's about 7%, I think. It's still cheap power.
Does Scott still want to be on there and Hale?
I think Scott.
I mean, if I'm not here at the end of the year, I'm a new person.
They'd have to be reappointed, but
Yeah.
it,
I can spend it.
so we just
I'm
need
assuming
him.
it's fine. Should I'm assuming Scott's fine with it?
I think so. I think he served as Director 1 for quite a while, and JR's been the other director. Yeah. So just a motion to...
Motion to approve the appointments. Bear, second by Larry, all in favor? Motion passed. Carolina.
We have the one, and as you probably know, once due process is interrupted, we have to start all over again at the beginning, so we've started that process. We started the process, and I've gotten one letter out. I'll wait to get the next one out until I'm assuming we're not going to hear back on it. So we will just continue going with starting over. It's all as been put in motion again.
All right. Project spending.
I just want to ask one thing. We've had recording of council meetings on here because at one time we were talking about possibly... Do you guys want to do that? And if not, then we should mark it off the list.
There's legislation in Topeka that they were trying to mandate that. I think that's why we were looking into it. I don't know if they picked that back up this year.
I haven't heard anything in the league. We have weekly meetings with the league, and they have not mentioned any bills or anything that have anything to do with that.
That was the whole original, because last year they were trying to mandate it.
Yeah. Was it last year or the year before? I think it was the year before. This has been on there for a long time.
We have them recorded.
Yeah, we do. We have the audio, and I don't think there's any requirement for it to be video.
Which I know I visited with Eric Parker and Matt Wilson on ideas of what would be best, and I know Matt was going to do some checking. I haven't heard back from him. I think still check further, or do we want to...
I mean, yeah, I was mention that too. I mean, if it's not a mandated thing, we have audio, and unless it's a real...
Well, there's not even a big demand for it.
Since I started, I've been one person in the city.
You watch the commission meeting?
Once in a while, blue moon.
It's really about listening more than anything.
Yeah.
I may upgrade my recording. Yeah, because this is my personal one, and it's not great.
Yeah.
So I may look into doing that. But if that's all we're going to do, I feel like we could just take that off of there.
I think that's why we had it on there.
I think so.
They were looking at passing legislation to mandate it.
I don't think that ever went anywhere. But I'll double check and make sure.
Okay, I was going to say, I don't...
I'll double
There's
check.
enough other stuff going on this year that has my attention more than...
Does our audio sound good?
It doesn't sound great on a phone, but on a computer it does. Yes, because that's, yeah. So, but I would like to upgrade it so that it is better
Well, yeah, you
on a
should have
phone.
something good that picks us up well, and it's not personal device.
I just used that because I had it.
Yeah.
It was convenient.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm good with taking it off, but it looks like they're still trying to push that through. But I can't remember.
It's off, and it's there, unless
At the House or the Senate that was pushing that.
I don't remember.
Now, it's been long ago.
It's been at least 2
Unless
years.
the community starts asking,
they're out there on the website. I put them up, try to get them up the same night or the next day, and they're always out there. So, and there are some people that view them. There's some views, but I haven't had anybody ask for anything more, so.
And you said people be on
It's on YouTube. Oh, no, not even that many.
That's that, and you think the demand that day.
Yeah. Unless something special's going on that
Well, it's
keeps
a special
people.
issue if you show up, too.
Okay, I'm going to scratch that off.
Okay.
Regarding the access road, I've reached out one last time to the firm and basically said if I don't get a response within 2 weeks, I'm going to contact another firm. That 2-week deadline is up at the end of this week, so I will likely be looking into another firm going forward in that matter, as I have not received a response.
Okay, perfect. Well, not perfect, but,
Yeah.
That's what it is.
It hasn't fallen off the radar.
Anything else? Turn on the streets project, or?
We just did.
How about building permits? Superintendent?
Very little. I emailed Greg Kite in reference to the historical registry and the van shell, and that was a can of worms, as one might suspect. He suggests we go through to get approval to make sure we don't end up off of the registry, which would require an engineer looking at it, deciding what needs to be done with it, and then formalizing a bidding process. He is more than happy to write the grant, which you can get 80/20 through the state to do the work, keeping in mind the last time we did an 80/20, it looked like we got about direct dollar for dollar work out of our 20%. Maybe it's better. I hope so by now. The deadline for applying for the next round of funding grants is in November of this year. So I guess we could go forward with trying to get some kind of approval from the historical registry to do it, but we're going to have to hire somebody for them before they're going to approve doing that, is what it kind of looks like. So I'll correspond with him further. I still question, just based on the first round that we did with that, whether we want to go through that process or whether we want to just get okay to maybe go to the trouble to get okay to do the work and figure out funding.
So just one clarification, so before when you said it was dollar for dollar for our 20, so what, 50/50?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Before, when you said it was dollar for dollar for our 20%, but why not being like whatever we put in, that's basically how much they put in? It's like 50/50 instead of 80/20?
A lot less, honestly, because they're administrating the amount that went into the process, the grant writing, not the grant writing, but there was just so much taking it out along the way. And then the contractor themselves supported the concrete. The concrete was, I think, $40,000. And from a general local contractor, could have been done for $4,000. You just do the math on some of these things and you think, that's a lot of processing to go through. You spend the same dollar for dollar. And I guess the downside of the fact that it costs so much is it's extremely poor workmanship. And it's cleared by the historical, it was all okay with that. So, frustrating process, the best way to put it. Just to see what we can do going forward and see what it would take just to get the approval and maybe come up with some kind of comparison as to whether it's worth going that route again. Maybe we should try it again. I don't know.
One of the questions that I've had a couple people ask me and talk a little bit about is, and maybe I don't understand it, why do we have to stay tied to the historical society?
That's my thinking exactly. Now, Greg is very strong-minded about that, and that's beside the point. It ties your hands quite a bit on what we want to do. Obviously, I mean, just taking the seating back to original should seem to be a fairly straightforward process, I would think. If the council's interested, I would actually approach that. I mean, I would talk to him about that.
I guess what benefit do we have as far as having it on the historical society versus you know, to actually spend the money in a reasonable fashion and get it fixed up. I know what JR's talking about how you got to take the cleaners, for lack of a better word, whatever.
So I think there's two ways to approach that, like the Craig is. One is, okay, what would be the process of just getting the okay to do the work, do it locally, and get the seating fixed. The other part would be getting off of the historical registry. The big sales pitch on getting on that in the first place is this 80/20 that turned out to be for less in reality. And at that time, it also, they had a list of contractors, local contractors couldn't do it. Now they changed that now. So we may have a different process than what we had at that time, but it needs to be a lot different for it to be.
Maybe it was just talking to Greg.
Yes, on both fronts. I would say if that's agreeable to the council, we'll ask on both fronts. Yes. I just guess we can just briefly about the frustration of the previous process.
Is there any financial benefits to being in the historical society? Other than that, there's no other enticement.
It just becomes protected. I mean, that's why they have the rules as far as the
Is it realistic for you to quantify a pro and cons list? Why we want to be, why we wouldn't want to be?
Being as it's been so long since we did the process, we could be comparing what we did how many years ago?
Before I got here, so at least 7.
I'm trying to think, it might have been 10 years ago?
So we know what it would, I guess I know what we think it would take to do the seating. We had that, that price given to us to remove and put it back. Greg didn't like that, or I thought it should be itemized and go through the process and should have been bid, cleared by the Historical Society, and all I'm saying is change, of that process. But we could, I guess let's just see what, I'll just ask you some more questions about that number, because if all of a sudden it's 3 times the amount to do the exact same thing, then I think we have to look at the value of being on the register. I know their threat is if you don't follow their rules, they take you off of it. I remember when we first did this last go-around, it's like, okay, how do we break the rules and get out of this thing? We did at that time, we just stopped it.
Ask for forgiveness instead of permission.
What's that?
Ask for forgiveness instead of permission.
Yeah, but then you run into problems like the courthouse did. I mean, they got into a pretty good money pit on that thing.
But if there's no financial benefit to being on the Historical Society in the first place, I don't get that.
It's exactly the same thing we're in with the street project. You're made to take it to such an extent as far as specifications over building, architect along the way. Everybody's taken some out along the way that you have to look at it in the end, and that's what we're going to do on the streets project too, because it's this large matching money, 50% on that. But in reality, you're overbuilding it by a large percentage, so we have to look at that and say, is it worth doing that process as far as the dollars? And it's the same thing with the Historical Society. Or registry. So I'll ask them those questions and just, we've got some time, not that much. That seating is in bad shape, so try to press the issue a little bit on what our options might be as opposed to just waiting until November to start a 1.5-year process before it gets finished. I did attend the commissioner meeting in reference to the recycle. Don't have any definite answers or directions to recommend as of right now. Sunoco is the company that we were recycling through before. They do want to propose picking up all of our stuff also. So we have at least 2 options going forward. And of course, we just have to see what the cost of that is going to be for recycling. Power cost, we do this every year, go through all the billing to see what electricity costs us. We then resell. Grab one. I should have used the highlights. I thought of that after I printed this. I apologize, but it's not that complicated. It's just 12 months of billing for Prairie Land and WAPA. Again, the WAPA is what we get through KMEA. Prairie Land is a direct billing that is SunPower Electric, which is the main So I just did this as a comparative to 2013. That's the top half of this. The top half is what the contract we were under. If you look to the far right column, that's the cents per kilowatt. The next column to the left of that is our total power cost. In 2013, we spent $914,118 on the power. And if you drop straight down on those same columns for the 2020 section, you can see how our contract has been realized. Under the new contract, it's $307,000 less than what it was in 2013. That 2013 cost pretty much run through the same. I grabbed this file. I was hoping to get the 18 numbers, which would have been the most recent full year, but it's not. I didn't have it summarized in there, so I can bring that information back. But we realized savings beyond what we projected. Originally, based on their numbers, I projected $630,000 for the first year of power, so we're about 5% better than that. So it's working out really well. Again, looks like the big cash cow. We have money. As far as I'm concerned, it's all neat. We need to keep throwing it right back to the electrical system. I'm going to call it an award today. I didn't hear back, but this is not part of our regular revenue. This is trying to play catch up and fix our electric system, in my opinion. Sure, everybody agrees. So,
How much time, I'm trying to remember how much time before the rates actually go up a little bit on this contract?
So the projected was, it's on the ECA, and we only projected a 1% increase per year. And even at 5%, it's negligible, because the ECA is the only thing with a variable in it. That's the cost adjustment that they provide each year. They still have excess capacity looking, I think, up to 8 years ahead. That would be a cost that we would have, 8 to 10 years down the road if they run out of excess capacity, but they don't. That's not in the foreseeable future. Yeah, they thought a 1% on the ECA was reasonable, and obviously, like I said, the first year we're below what we projected it to be based on the numbers that they had provided at that time. Some of that can be actual usage too. That total number is weather-based a little bit too. So you can't say we just, it wasn't that hot of a summer on a real hot one. It could have easily been 15% higher just based on total usage, but if you buy more, you sell more too. So there's the revenue side of it that I don't have a comparison on, but that just runs in direct correlation how many kilowatts we sell and purchase. The one thing before I forget this, we always adjust that power cost per kilowatt for the emergency building. So they pay actual cost, Jen's aware of that.
Okay.
She just needs that 51 cents, I think it is.
Okay.
Yeah, 51 cents a kilowatt. We just, emergency building just pays electricity at cost. Other than that, the only thing I've got is we did receive the John Deere Gator, and I think we're going to try to pay for that out of cycle. So we did receive that. And that's all I have.
What's that coming out of?
What's that?
What fund is that coming out of?
Equipment.
So, yeah, for me to pay that out of cycle, since we didn't have it for the bills for tonight, I just need a motion to go ahead and pay that. It's $16,850.
We have a motion to pay that out of cycle. Moved by Dara. Second by Jason. All in favor? Any questions for Dara? Not that I have a motion to approve the superintendent report. Moved by Gail. Second by Larry. All in favor? Lauren.
I would ask last time, do some vendors need to have a background check run or just the applicant? Based on the reading of the statute, it is just the applicant. However, if multiple people put their names on and sign the application, that is going to obligate all of them to pay for background fees. So if it's an organization or one person with other people under them, it's just that one person, but however many people sign that application, that's how many background checks get run. Cover those 2 things. There is a new cooperative law enforcement agreement on the shared drive. I emailed it to all of you and to Lila. She added it to the Google Drive this evening. This is the revisions that we discussed last time. I submitted them to Leslie Vines for her comments, and she approved them. There was one typographical error. I had 2020 rather than 2021 in one spot, but I have revised that. Otherwise, the main things that were changed is paragraph 13 has, unless they are terminated as provided for herein, the agreement shall take effect on the first day of January 2021 and shall continue pursuant to paragraph below. This allows the parties to terminate in writing not less than 1 calendar month prior to the termination. Then the agreement shall automatically renew. The agreement shall automatically renew. This prevents us from having to sign this agreement every year, and if someone drops the ball and we aren't technically under contract for law enforcement, it does it automatically each year. Then I amended paragraph 16 to state that the parties in this agreement shall review and renew the consideration, which is the payment, consideration of legal work payment, established in paragraph 5, herein no later than June 15th of each calendar year to determine whether or not the costs for services should be adjusted. So paragraph 5 states that this year it is going to be $83,000, just as it was previously. It's supposed to be that for 3 years and then increase. So it just has it needs to be reviewed in November, but upon talking with Lila, we had decided that it should probably, and we discussed last time, it should probably be renewed prior to the budget meeting rather than after the fact, so we're not having to submit an amended budget. We think our auditors would probably like that a lot more. So that's what we have. That's what we have there. I have the agreement as approved by Leslie Vines here, paper copy, so if Amanda wants to sign it with Lila, but attest, you can do that. Does anyone have any questions for me on that?
If not, is there a motion to approve the law enforcement agreement? Moved by Kale. Second by Dara. All in favor? All right. Thank you. And then this is more of an FYI, but I will not be here next council meeting. If I can, I will. I'm just going to anticipate I'm going to be living in my office at that point. So, the 22nd of February, I will not. We'll plan on me not being here. Any questions? A motion to accept and file the attorney report. Moved by Larry. Second by David. All in favor? Clerk report.
I don't have too much. I did have, and I didn't get it on the agenda, a mobile home park license for Eldon Zimbelman for the one spot that he has that's still a mobile home on 2nd and Adams. It's just a renewal. Just a motion to renew his.
Moved by Kale. Second by Larry. All in favor?
And I have one more out of cycle that I'd like to request. We hadn't gotten a bill from the St. Francis Herald yet. We usually do. We run it through the first cycle, but it hasn't come. We expect it probably will this week, and we would like to be able to pay it because they do charge us late fees if we don't. So.
A motion to pay the St. Francis Herald. Moved by David. Second by Dara. All in favor? All right. Motion passed.
Still doesn't look like the shuttered venue operators grant for the theater they haven't opened it up for applications yet, so I don't know if you guys still want to ponder that.
Say it again.
The grant for the theater, the shuttered venue operators grant that we talked about at the last one, they haven't opened it up for applications yet. I don't know if you want me to just keep watching that and we can talk about it again, or if you've thought about it, if you want to even pursue it.
This is the one that is based on how much revenue was lost, correct?
Yes. And we don't fall into, the category that we would fall into is 28 days after it's opened up. 28 days later, we would be able to apply. It's not just theaters, it's any entertainment venue, live theater. I'm trying to think. That's a whole list of venues, not just motion picture theaters that are eligible for these grants. But
Keep watching.
okay, I'll just keep you updated.
Yes.
Okay, I'll do that. That's all I have.
Any questions for Lila? If not, do I hear a motion to approve the clerk's report? Moved by Dara, second by Cale, all in favor? Council comments, David?
I have been tasked through CCDC of recognizing all of our new businesses in the county. And I have been informed that in doing so, going to the Herald is a challenging task because they used to do that for us on a free basis instead of making the CCDC pay to do that because it's a new business. But I was informed that that's no longer the case, so I've yet to talk to Amanda or Trista and try to see if we can change that, especially in a pandemic when you have people starting a new business, how important that is. But if not, is that something that we can get on the city website to publicize new businesses there? And if we have to try to bypass the newspaper.
Mm-hmm. Would you be writing the article or writing the information?
I probably would be doing so in conjunction with Helen.
Yeah, absolutely. We can put it on the website. It's easy to do. Some of the new businesses have not reached out to me to be added to our website.
And we're quite frankly way behind the eight ball when I found out that we had some new businesses that have been open almost a year. Like, what are we waiting on? And they said, you want to do it? I'm like, yeah. So, I mean, it's silly that we waited this long, but they need to be recognized. So, yeah, so I'm hoping we can get the newspaper to do it as well. And I understand that the girls here locally, their hands are tied, so, but we're going to try, so. That's it.
I've had people bring some attention to the unleashed dogs at Keller's Pond getting infected with better dogs that are unleashed. We need to get the signs up or something.
I got to review that. I'm going to write that down right now.
Okay.
Review the Keller, because we actually have, I guess, some rules, laws, whatever, governing that. So, yeah, I apologize. I'm doing that thing to know whether it has anything in there, because if we're going to put up the signs, we need to have a resource for it, if we need to have that for it.
Is that on the lease agreement?
No, the city's code. We have a Keller Pond section that says you can do this, you can't do that. Obviously, if it's not in there, we'll need to add it to be able to.
It is not.
It's not.
It is not. I looked, and I don't remember why I looked. Somebody asked me to.
It was me.
Okay.
I had the same issue with the same person that he's had complaints over.
So it is not in our code.
So we're just going to need to come up with some kind of adder to the code to be able to enforce that. If we can get the signs up, that's not a problem, but we need another business sign.
Road sign would be inside city limits, so
Yes.
ordinance would be enforceable there where that's outside city limits. It's not, but the city leases it, so that's why we have a
You know, it might be such a thing that we could just write in there that because of the lease, we could, all city ordinances are enforceable. We maybe could just add that.
That's what I was going to say.
Why not?
We might as well,
have all kinds of rules in the city that we can't enforce there just for that reason. We could just incorporate it in. Is there a reason we can't?
I wouldn't think so. I mean, if the city leases it, if the city is paying a lease for not to be considered city property for the benefit of the public, then I don't know why we wouldn't be able to. I'm adding that to my.
And it doesn't have that in there, does it?
No, I
Okay.
didn't think it, yeah.
Okay, that's the way to go then, because then something else is going to come up, be it firearm or this, that, or I don't know.
Camping and that kind of stuff, and it's just, it's blanketed over all the parks and, yeah, our ordinances and
All of that, yeah.
We may want to state that the fine for dog off leash starts at $100. Because it's a $50, immediately the first time, it's $50 fine plus $50 of court costs. And it goes up $25 each time that you're,
So it's just $5
minimum, yeah.
Okay. Well, we will get the signs and then we'll get, have you just add that in there. So,
When we should have into the 2010. It's like, I guess I should have asked Cody about that. These written intents on that.
there's been nothing
Probably
through
not.
municipal court.
No.
There's been 2 tickets for municipal court, right? Both of them for traffic violations?
I've had one.
Just one, okay. I might have okay.
I don't think I probably have ran into the same situation you're talking about, but I've also went out there and there's a certain individual who goes jogging out there, and their dog runs with them, and sometimes just runs, sometimes falls behind, but pretty much stays with them.
Yeah.
How do we handle that?
It needs to be on a leash.
So at least,
Okay.
when you make those.
They make running leashes, they make retractable leashes, they make holsters that the person can put it around their waist if they don't have to do it, and they can get retractable ones for that. There's all sorts of running equipment. If they want to be running on city property with their dog, they need to be on a leash. The dog does, not the person.
And
Well, I mean, technically, the person should be attached to the dog, so.
Yeah.
Sarah? Larry?
Only thing I've got is we tentatively scheduled a concert in the park for August 28th. Bring the long run back. They've pretty much committed at this point, and it's just a matter of getting things put together for them. Just keep that date in mind. And we're going to try to do the same thing we did last year with the vendors, and because that went over very, very well. Hopefully we get a few more this year, so that, like I say, it sounds like the class, might be the same class that did it last year, is interested in doing it again. But I'm very optimistic at this point.
I don't have anything, so we can review the bills on ordinance 1047.
These are from last month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The more that you sign, the less that you remember how to sign your name.
It starts getting lumpy after a while. You're like,
That's
ooh.
Lila, when Amanda signs that, you these are kind of, you have to attach to her signature.
Yes.
Do you want to run it across the courthouse, or do you want me to take it with me and have Janet run it up there?
I can just take it from you.
Oh, you're going to take it with you? That's even easier.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's cold out, unless you guys want to get out. I'll just take it with me tonight and drive it up.
do we have to pass an ordinance probably to enforce that also?
Yeah, we're going to need to do it as an ordinance, we're going to need a public paper, but.
That's what I was going to say. So you're right, the ordinance. I was sitting there thinking, well, we just add it to the code, but we better write an ordinance.
We have to write an ordinance. What I will probably do is write an ordinance that is another section. I will do an ordinance county section of the code. So when we revise the code book in whatever year we revise it in, if it's revised in 2015, we'll just put that in as a supplemental. Yep. I have it ready to you. And I may send that, if I can get that done, if I can get that done this month, I will send it to Lila, and she can send that to all of you at the next meeting. I will try to do that, otherwise I'll have it ready to go at the first meeting in March.
there's another issue, I'll be following up with you tomorrow morning. I'll be right back.
They come to your yard?
I gotta remember Rick Lucas. He had asked me one time to go out of the county, put the poop in his yard. And he'd come over and say, next time your dog comes over, they come over and pull my pants and poop in your yard.
Geez, I didn't agree with my dog.
That's what I was
Just for
thinking.
the spectacle.
Yeah, I know.
I forgot to ask you. Can you do the
I did. That's a pretty hefty fine.
What's that?
A pretty hefty fine.
For what?
$10. Times 100.
We have all the equipment that they pay us 17 something, 20 something. We're actually, Roger really wants to see the recycling thing, but it costs, and that's where we're at. If they really put some resources to it, it also costs us more. And it just makes no sense to have costs. As long as it's being removed from our county, he does not agree. We just can't agree. So, say you screw up, you collect it all down, so you mix it all together, put it in a compactor, haul it down, and recycle it. So no further, this is going to go through now. Once we come up and take that from the recycle, the sort of recycle, work.
So then why, on the other side, why do you have separate starts?
Because if you let people get separated, you let them stay in the garbage. Good from all we just got sitting together. Everywhere they do that, you have them like it's separate, and then you put it together to get it out. And the cans, please do not recycle it. So to go to the couple, you do that, and then you go and garage it. Now, that's the way it works.
Oh. I will bring that up at the next meeting. I don't think it's everything to discuss, but it should be. Should we have that early in the year before we leave here, so we can know what everything. I forget. Yes. You have to, yes, yes. I'll just say that we've been asked because, just like we did for the exterminator. Yeah, it's the same kind of a thing, yeah.
I guess people are doing it as a cure.
Yeah. And so
I think that's good.
I'll think it through, but I can't, as long as it's put out for a bid and everybody has the same opportunity to, I mean, that is public record, what you're looking at there, so anybody knows what we're paying for now.
Okay.
I don't even know what they use it for. Yeah, I have no idea.
And they do the
I
same
think
thing.
Parks Direct.
Is there a motion to approve
So
the?
moved, so moved, so approved, so moved.
I would have wandered off out of here.
Yeah, I know.
Everybody. 2 hours later.
That hasn't happened for a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
You know, I don't know that it's ever happened with this group. We used to get 2.5, actually before, I don't know that we've ever had a meeting go more than 2 hours, have we?
Just a couple, early on, when I first started, yeah.
Years ago, they would go wandering off into the weeds, and we'd be here 3 hours later. It was,
Well, I can remember, like, Paula and I were chit-chatting, and Roger and Scott were chit-chatting, and you and Mike were chit-chatting, and, yeah, it's like, there's like groups of two, just all chit-chatting. And I remember the one meeting we had that we had to discuss on the Martinez family, all of the relatives were like, I should have the meeting. Like,
So we didn't have a second on that.
no, we did not have a second on this.
Second.
All right, second by David, all in favor?
second, it's a third.
Third, fourth.